Oh, Bufo is wonderful. It's a toad, and it's an endangered species. That's a toad. And the Houston Zoo has actually taken a major role in both the Houston toad and the Atwater's prairie chicken in trying to help these species recover by breeding and raising their young in captivity and then releasing them back into nature. And I think it's one of the kind of redesigns of zoos where they become essentially part of restoring ecological systems as well as, if you will, showcases for them. I think it's part of the evolution of zoos and their role in society, and I applaud it tremendously. Funny story, back in, I think, probably the 1970s, the Endangered Species Act had just been passed. One of the things you do under that act is to designate critical habitat. And critical habitat must be designated officially in the Federal Register. And as I remember it, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service posted some designated critical habitat for the Houston toad that had already been developed, and I think was Sharpstown Center out on the Southwest Freeway in Houston. So, Houston toad had definitely been there. They love wetlands. They love wet, cool spots. And we had a lot of wetlands heading out west and southwest of Houston. And we have filled thousands of acres of these wetlands. But Fish and Wildlife wasn't quick enough on this designation. They have to move to more rural areas to find the Houston toad. And I think we've got some in Bastrop County. We've got some in Grimes County. We've got some kind of in the upper watershed of Buffalo Bayou, out by Cat Springs toward Columbus. And I think the way you find them basically is going out in the spring and listening and hearing them call, their mating calls. And I think, again, from a value standpoint, if we're valuing biological diversity, those ranches, those farms that have Houston toad, that can prove they have Houston toad, I think they're those that will pay to protect those areas. And pay or not, I just love the idea that we do have a toad named for Houston. The best kept secret about Houston is that we have fabulous ecological habitat around Houston. Houston doesn't talk much about ecology. I think if we were on the West Coast or the East Coast, it would be known to everybody in the world how wonderful our ecology is. But we have wetland systems all around Houston, and the Houston toad habitat is some of that really wonderful, wet, moist, where springs come out of the ground on the side of a very small hill, kind of at the base of a small ditch. And the Houston toad that inhabits it just makes me smile. Bufo Houstonensis, the Houston toad. Hi there, y'all. I'm Bufo Houstonensis, another one of them endangered species. I no longer can be found in Houston town. I now have found much safer ground. I live in springs and seeps and bogs. It's there you'll find me in my pollywogs. In counties named Austin, Bastrop, and Fayette, we haven't been eradicated from there yet. When the federal government put me on the list, the Fish and Wildlife Service was a bit embarrassed. They designated my habitat on Houston's west side, where urban sprawl had committed bufocide. We once could be found throughout Texas forests. We don't need much. Our lives are modest. I need private puddles that are wet year-round. My feet like to be on spongy, soaked ground. You humans seem to like draining wetland areas, and requiring a wet home is a bit precarious. I'm hopeful you'll accommodate my special need and that I'll not be wiped out by human greed. Thankfully, the Houston Zoo folks took an interest in captive breeding, and they were persistent. Now they release thousands of egg strands. It's nice being consistent with human plans. In the spring these days, out in Austin County, the chorus can be heard singing loudly. Today, many males join in the competition to see which female prefers which rendition. And here at Earth Church, we smile with affection that Bufo Houstonensis had a population correction. And we thank the zoo for helping nature along. I hope to one day hear a Bufo song. So welcome to Earth Church. Pull yourself up a pew. Here we work for all species, including you too.